What is poppin', Never fans, and welcome to Never Lag. I'm Levi, and that is Zach, and this is This Week in Gaming, the show where we bring you the news, the reviews, and the hot takes from the past week in video games, and we bring it directly to you. So if you're all about it, you can support us over on Patreon at patreon.com/neverlag, and of course, right here by doing what you're doing, watching here on YouTube and listening wherever the heck you get your podcasts from. And we thank you for it. So let's talk games. How many stories do we have today? What's going on?
We got 12 stories. Lots going on in the gaming industry. Despite kind of getting through a lot of the big releases, there always seems to be something going on. First notable thing is
that's why we chose this industry.
That's true. So that we can
There's
never
no
rest.
off season, never rest.
Yeah, and it's clearly paying off lucratively for us. Yeah, so our first story today is about the Xbox Summer Showcase. So Microsoft announced, it's actually kind of a combination. It's the Xbox and Bethesda Showcase. And I think what's interesting is they specifically branded it as such, which makes sense. They spent a lot of money on Bethesda, but kind of makes me hope that we're going to get some interesting insights into upcoming Bethesda games. I mean, that certainly is the implication. Microsoft said today we are excited to announce that the Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase will stream on Sunday, June 12th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And of course, they talk about how this will feature amazing titles, quote unquote, from Xbox Game Studios, Bethesda, and their partners around the world. And so it's going to be things that are upcoming on Xbox, PC, Game Pass. There's a variety of places you can watch it. Obviously, like YouTube, Twitch, all of their socials should point you in the right direction. But this is interesting and exciting. So, what do you think about the showcase? Do you have any predictions?
I don't know. I think the easiest prediction is that we've got to see Starfield here, right? I mean, look at the. Yeah. I'm sure you can throw up a photo of their little picture here, their announcement. It's in space. I'm seeing a bunch of stars. And apparently Starfield, I mean, if it's coming when they say it's coming, it's time we see some gameplay, some actual, I don't know. I at this point, I want to see extended gameplay. I feel like they should spend 20 minutes at least on Starfield. Unless we're getting a delay. So, and it all signs point to they're really trying to bring it out. What is it? November? I can't remember the month they were aiming for.
I believe they're aiming for November, but either way, I mean, the fact that they're branding this as Xbox and Bethesda, it's in space. Like this feels like they're pretty strongly pushing Starfield. So I'd be surprised if we didn't get some decent amount of gameplay from this. So I guess we could be wrong. Maybe it'll be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that. I think we definitely will. We're clearly going to get things from Bethesda here, but I don't think the fact that they're branding it as Xbox Bethesda means anything. I think Bethesda, the whole purchase that happened, it was clear that Bethesda maintains some form of autonomy and separation from Xbox. And I think that's just how it's going to be. I think anytime we hear from Xbox, it's going to be Xbox and Bethesda. Bethesda didn't fully get, I don't know, swallowed up. I don't think. I think they still want to kind of stand on their own.
Yeah, I mean, I see that, but they also are in the process of acquiring Blizzard Activision. Maybe it'll just become a collection of logos for every showcase. But I guess more of my point is the fact that they're very intentionally co-branding this in a way that Bethesda clearly has some updates for us, is I guess what I'm trying to say. So I guess I could be wrong. With the stars makes me think that.
Yeah, other than Starfield, I really don't know. I think we really need an update on forgetting the other name of the other game that I think we'll be getting. So I'll come back to that.
Elder Scrolls 6. Just kidding.
No, that's coming in what was our joke from last week? 2026? That might be early for that game.
The announcement will be in 2026.
Yeah. Will we see anything from Fable? I mean, it's been a long time since we heard about Fable.
I feel like I've heard mutterings amongst fans, but I don't know.
I feel like it's time for that as well. I don't know. I guess from this, I'm more so looking forward to Starfield for sure. And then other than that, I really want to see if Xbox has anything up their sleeve that is just a surprise. I want to be surprised by at least one game that none of us know about, that kind of knocks the socks off and gives that Sony first party vibe that Xbox has been striving to cultivate for
Yeah.
years now. And we've not really seen it. We think it's coming. We always think it's coming. I want to see a game that feels like God of War Ragnarok, or just a Spider-Man, like something like that coming from Xbox that is of that caliber.
Man, when Elder Scrolls does come, I hope that it is that. But I think Starfield is probably our best bet here.
Oh, there it is. The other one that I spaced is Hellblade 2. We haven't heard about that in a while. I don't really think it's coming this year. I could easily see it not being at the show, but that's another one that is well into development, and we haven't heard anything about it for quite some time.
All right, we're putting you on record for backing Hellblade.
It's coming out August.
All right, cool. So yeah, that'll be fun to watch. It. I think I'm just excited to see what showcases start to look like from Xbox and from Microsoft as they've made these acquisitions. Like, I want to see them have a more robust portfolio, like you said, start to match what Sony's doing. Like, that's going to just be good for gamers as they start having more and more to offer. So again, that's coming June 12th. Our second story is a review roundup of Nintendo Switch Sports. I was fairly excited for this one coming out, and I think maybe a lot of that is nostalgia for Wii Sports, which were pretty fun back in the day. This is coming out to kind of average reviews, though. OpenCritic has given this a 73. Metacritic has it at a 75. And pulled a couple of reviews from OpenCritic. One is Colin Stevens from IGN, gives this a 7 out of 10 and says the Nintendo Switch Sports successfully recaptures the party game magic of Wii Sports, but quickly falls victim to a lack of depth that holds it back from achieving greatness. And then Nathan Birch from WCCF Tech gave it a 6.5 out of 10, saying Nintendo Switch Sports is a fun and nostalgic romp that offers nicely upgraded visuals and well-implemented motion controls, but there simply isn't enough of it. With a meager 6 sports, only 2 of which bring anything truly new to the table, and very few extras, this one probably won't compete for your attention for long. So that's a little bit of a bummer. It's not like this was like, I wasn't hanging all of my gaming hopes on this title necessarily, but I was hoping it'd do a little better than this. Like, I would love to see this in the 8 range somewhere, and it seems like it's falling just a little bit short. Seems fun and nostalgic, but like it's just maybe lacking some content, lacking some depth, and maybe it feels like it's just treading a lot of the old ground that it used to tread and not really doing a whole lot new. What do you think about this?
We both steered clear of it in our league. We were wise enough to do so. Mm-hmm. I gave it a thought, but I was like, I just don't think this is going to. I don't think it's going to score critically very well. And it's about where I would expect, maybe even a little lower than I would expect. And this is just one of those things. This is just a prototypical Nintendo thing where it's just like everything I've seen from this game is that it's missing a couple sports from the Wii Sports version, and it's thrown in 1 or 2 new ones, right? Yeah. So it's a kind of a net zero. And at the end of the day, it's great that we have a Switch Sports back, because Wii Sports really was like iconic. It was ubiquitous. People who did not and maybe have not played a video game since played Wii Sports. Like, I remember going over to a friend's house and bowling or playing baseball with people who don't play video games. It was just it brought everyone together. I think this is going to accomplish the same thing, regardless of its scores right now. We know they're adding golf down the road.
Yeah,
we can assume that maybe they're going to add. At least they got to add the sports that were in Wii Sports. Like, where's baseball? I don't understand, but presumably over time,
a DLC that we'll pay for.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but presumably over time, this will contain more sports. Yeah. So from that standpoint, I think that this will be a living room staple, and this will go on to be played for the next decade infrequently by gatherings all over the world, right? It'll fill its role, and it'll do so well, much even more well than a 75 or a 65 would tell you on the score.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is so Nintendo, because it's just like the problem seems to be, from what I'm seeing, that it's just once again bare minimum. I mean, Wii Sports
Mm,
came out in 2006. We are closing in on, we're past 15 years. We're closing in on 20 years since the release of that title. And
yeah.
in 20 years, we finally get Switch Sports, and it has 6 sports in it, and it feels on par with Wii Sports. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Video games are just a medium where we expect growth and evolution, right?
Yeah.
And
It's not even like Nintendo's evolving their technology that much. You know, I think if this were analogous to something on PlayStation, and there was a PS2 game that came out, and now we had a PS5 version of it, that might be very different, or PS3 maybe, but that might be very different because of the capabilities, the hardware capability increases of those consoles. But if you look at the Switch versus the Wii, yeah, it's a little better, but it's not like there's much graphical fidelity. There's a little bit of improvement, obviously, but it's not like that's really what you're getting out of this. So it kind of makes it even more baffling that you're not seeing a step up in some area. It just feels kind of like a lateral move, or almost a remake with a few different games. And I think you bring up a really important point, that I think this will change over time, and I think this will become a staple over the course of a few years. And I think if we look at Mario Kart and their strategy to release additional content, I think we're going to maybe see something kind of similar. I don't know if on that scale. So I think it'll be worthwhile to some extent, but yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't think the reviews matter to Nintendo that much. I think they're fine with their 70. They're going to take their 70 and they're going to sell millions of copies, and it's all going to be
Yeah.
great in the end. But yeah, just after a certain amount of time, it's the same thing with like Mario Party when they released a couple years ago. I forget which Mario Party it was, because they've released a new one since then. But it's just like, Smash Bros is kind of this outlier of it. It evolved. It became the definitive version of Smash Bros. It had every character. I mean, it's just full stop. How do you make a sequel to it, right?
Yeah.
And you just kind of want that for every franchise. And it's like, why don't we have all the same sports from Wii Sports? Why haven't they doubled that? Why haven't they really kind of pushed the boundaries of what we can do here? And like I said, they did that with Mario Party, where they came out with a new Mario Party, and it had like 4 maps and almost no settings you could tweak, and was missing a bunch of features that were in past games. And Nintendo does that all the time. And again, this is the Nintendo rabbit hole that is, they don't care because they're going to sell 30 million copies of it is
Yeah.
really what it comes down to. So like I said, this will fill its role. People will play this for years to come. Hopefully they make it better over time without, gouging people for it, but we'll see.
Yeah. Bare minimum, I think, is a great encapsulation that you said earlier. Well, let's move on to our third story, which is also Nintendo related. Nintendo is in some hot water over issues with labor relations. So, a union busting complaint was recently filed with the National Labor Relations Board, accusing Nintendo of America and contract worker agency Aston Carter of surveillance, retaliation, and other unfair labor practices. So, according to the sources familiar with this incident, basically what happened is a part-time contract employee spoke out in a business meeting about some decision being made, and was fired like mid-contract for it. So it was in a department meeting that took place back in February, and
But then they tried to cover their butts.
They did. So Nintendo wrote a statement saying that we're aware of this claim, which was filed with the whatever board by a contractor who's previously terminated for the disclosure of confidential information and for no other reason. Take our words for it. Stop investigating. Nintendo is not aware of any attempts to unionize or related activity and intends to cooperate with the investigation. Yada yada. And then they go on how they're fully committed to being a welcoming and supportive work environment. It's not boilerplate copy for sure. Yeah, so sources tell Kotaku, who's reporting on this, that the social media post that this worker was allegedly fired for was very vague. We don't know what it was, so that we're kind of relying on third-hand sources' interpretations of this post. But sounds like this was maybe an overreaction for what this person posted. Regardless, it kind of speaks to the larger corporate issues that we're seeing in the gaming industry with these large corporations abusing their employees and taking really harsh measures to protect their company, their brand, with very little thought as to the well-being of the people they employ. And you think about a lot of these contractors, like many of them, they employ, I think it's like 10 months out of a year so that they don't have to pay for a lot of the benefits type stuff. So it's just, there's really a mentality that a lot of these companies have for some of the labor that they're kind of exploiting. And Nintendo is not the only one who does this, but it doesn't make it good that Nintendo is doing this. So yay,
Yeah.
Nintendo.
I mean,
What
it
do you
really
think?
just continues to show that this is everywhere. This is everyone. And, it's almost becoming a weekly show or a weekly staple that I say some company sucks. But once again, I think Nintendo sucks. I think they suck. I think they sell good games. I think they sell nostalgia. And I mean, we're constantly talking about how they are just sharks going after people for their IP, or you got to be careful posting video of their stuff, or they'll copyright takedown things. They sued some guy for what was it, a guidebook from the original Mario that he put together online that's like inaccessible anywhere
He
else and isn't
scanned
even
it and
sold
put it on
anymore. I mean,
Twitter.
this is
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Nintendo sucks, and again, almost every video game company kind of sucks, we're finding, and it all sucks and it needs to change. And it's a bummer that this industry that has so many, that gives us so many great things and that we enjoy so much is really fundamentally corrupted and exploitative right now. Like even it finds its way down to consumers, and we talk about that a lot, but it's really a problem too for the people that work on these games and make the games and try to make these cool things. They're being exploited as well. So
Yeah.
I think we're gonna keep hearing stories about this, and I guess we need to keep hearing stories about this because we have for the past couple years, and hopefully it'll never be perfect, but hopefully over the course of the past couple years moving forward, the next couple years, we'll slowly start to see a shift in the industry, where companies uh, just can't as easily get away with doing the kind of garbage that they've been doing for who
Yeah.
knows how long at this point.
Yeah. I think it's good to call it out and to see more and more people becoming aware of it. But I imagine at some point it's going to hurt these companies where people are less interested in working for them, because there's a huge appeal to working at a company that makes beloved
Yeah.
games that are nostalgic to you as well. I think a lot of the people who make these games love them as much, if not more, than the people who are buying them. And so it will be nice to see some change in this regard. But yeah,
The great thing is we've even seen that. We've started to see and hear that it is affecting these companies, places like Ubisoft and Blizzard,
yeah,
having a hard time retaining people because they don't want to work in that environment, or they hear certain things, or even these
mm-hmm.
buyouts, which we'll talk a little bit more about. I mean, Blizzard being completely purchased, um, or not just Blizzard, but that entire company being bought out really kind of stemmed from all of this legal trouble and everything that started. People are just starting to speak up and not keep quiet about this anymore. So yeah, I do think we are starting to see some sort of ramification for what these companies are doing, and it's just got to keep on rolling till it's not the norm.
Yep. Our fourth story, Sony is hiring for a senior director for PC planning and strategy. So this is interesting because this indicates a view towards a longer term investment in PC as a platform. Obviously, we've gotten a lot of really great PlayStation exclusive games on PC over the past few years, from Death Stranding to Horizon Zero Dawn to God of War. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection is set to come out later this year on PC, which I might replay that at some point. And if I do, it's definitely going to be on PC. So that's awesome. And yeah, this job listing, I think, really just kind of highlights the fact that Sony is interested in continuing to release games on PC. the fact that strategy is like it was part of the title of this senior director. One, it's a senior director role, so it's nearly executive. It's upper management, which means there's some level of investment for this person having a team. And then two, the fact that strategy is a component makes me think that this doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be getting everything on PC day one. They're not probably going to be operating the same way as Microsoft, but it speaks to the fact that I think we can expect to continue getting great PlayStation exclusives on PC over time. The real question that still remains unanswered is this going to get us Bloodborne on PC? And the job posting
put
doesn't
Bloodborne on
verify.
PC already.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Senior Director of Bloodborne on PC is the job title I want to see listed.
Yeah, that would be great. The other thing is, will we ever see day and date, which I continue to wonder, but with them starting to put priority on PC, it's really hard. It's very difficult right now to try and figure out the trajectory of Sony over the next couple years, because Xbox, we know what they're doing. You know, we know what their plan is. They've been executing it now for a while. Nintendo's off in the corner doing their own thing like they always have, selling us 20-year-old games for full price and selling 30 million copies. But Sony, they kind of swung for that premium market feel at $70. And as we've discussed, they've kind of not delivered on that fully. And now we've got their whole PS Plus situation changing, and them kind of trying to put a toe in the subscription market alongside Game Pass, although I don't think anyone really thinks it's directly competing with that. And then also the PC thing. I mean, we're starting to see these things come out on PC. Sony really has been about, their box, their PlayStation. They want you to own the PlayStation. They want you to play on the PlayStation. PC is the devil. It's Microsoft, right? And as they've started to put these games on PC, they're noticing, hey, we're selling a lot on PC. And I do wonder I feel like at some point we're going to see them go ahead and say, hey, let's do a day and date and let's see how our sales measure up. And I would not at all be surprised if they sell more, putting them both day and date, PC and PlayStation 5. And maybe that becomes the norm. And it excites me because I've never been a PC master race kind of guy. Like I've owned a PC for a long time. I've often been impressed with what a PC can do. I mean, we've talked about it. Eventually you built a PC. PC is great, but I also love the simplicity that comes with a console. Just less technical difficulties, and it's just a box. It just plays games, right? But especially this whole generational transition has really just soured me on the console experience. I talked about simplicity is the name of the game at a console, and I feel like so much simplicity has been lost as they kind of start to feel more like PCs, but PCs you don't have control over. That's literally what a console is starting to feel like. It's starting to feel as complicated as a PC, but someone else is setting all the rules as to what I can and can't do, and whether or not this game can do 60 FPS or has, if I own the PS4 and the PS5 version. And it's such a headache that, and then combine that with the fact that Horizon Forbidden West comes out, and I think it looks like Garbaggio in performance mode. Put these games on PC for me, please, because I would gladly play Forbidden West on PC over the way it looks on PS5 right now. So, for me, I'm excited about this. I want a world where I can play, because people talk about, oh, my PlayStation is my exclusive box. I just play the exclusives over there, play everything else on PC, and maybe someday soon there'll be a day where you don't even need the exclusive box. Maybe everything you can have on PC. I'll probably still own the console for some odd time or two where it makes sense to use it. But I want a world where I have the ability to play everything on PC, and I hope that's coming.
I like that idea too. I mean, more options for consumers. PCs are getting easier to manage overall, I think. I don't know. The idea of not having that exclusive box feels mildly orthogonal. I don't know if you can be mildly orthogonal. Orthogonal is a right line or a 90-degree angle. So I don't think you can do that mildly. That would be a different angle, but you get what I'm saying. That feels kind of contrary to, I think, what Sony wants to do strategically. They want you on a box that they control, but I could be wrong. And in terms of where the industry's headed, I don't know how powerful of a strategy that will continue to be. So yeah, I like the idea of
That's what I'm
them
saying. I don't know where
enabling more.
Sony's going. I really don't know, because
Because I
it
think they
seemed to me that
realize that a little bit, but
it seemed to me at the start of the generation they were going all in on the box, and you got to have the box, and this is going to be the premium place to play premium games, and you're going to pay up for them, and they're going to be great, and that is going to be our MO. And in the year and a half since they've launched the PS5, we're starting to see them kind of awkwardly take steps in other directions. I feel like they might be being, well, clearly they're being pushed by Microsoft out of their comfort zone.
yeah.
And I don't get the sense yet that they have a clearly defined goal. And maybe they do, but it kind of feels like they're just awkwardly reaching in various directions, and I don't even know if they know exactly where they're going to land yet. So
Yeah,
time will tell, I guess.
That is kind of how it feels. So we will see. Either way, even if we're just getting things on PC faster, like if it's 6 months and then you can get something on PC, that would be nice too. Like instead of waiting a year or two, maybe there is a middle ground where they can still have their exclusivity in their box, and we can get a better PC experience. So time will tell. But let's move on. Let's stop complaining about Sony. Let's stop complaining about Nintendo. And let's start complaining about Sega. So we talked last week or the week before, we talked about
Sega sucks.
Sega sucks. We talked about how Sega is getting ready to release Sonic Origins, which is like a rebundling of Sonic 1, 2, and 3, which, by the way, I think I've bought that game like 4 times in my life. And they have resold these games so many times, kind of pulling a Nintendo here by continuing to resell these. But anyway, they're bundling these into Sonic Origins. They've gotten a lot of flack for their pricing structure. They have that horrible graph or chart to quote unquote navigate your purchase that was an atrocity.
Your path to purchase.
It's gotten even worse. So they are now Sega has revealed that it will be delisting the standalone versions of Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2, and 3 from all digital stores on the 20th of May. So we got a couple weeks, which is just ahead of the release of Sonic Origins. So currently the standalone copies of Sonic 1, 2, and 3 can be purchased for somewhere in the ballpark of like $4 to $5 on like Steam or the Xbox store, which would put their combined value to like $40 or well below the price of Sonic Origins. So you could get all 3 of them for like, I don't know, somewhere between $12 and $15. Whereas Sonic Origins is going to cost $40, and that's if you don't upgrade to get everything like the intro music and the animations and volume controls or whatever else they put in their pricing tier structure. So this is just ridiculous. I don't think I really need to say much more here.
Yeah, there's not too much more to say. I mean, this is fully in line with what we discussed last week.
Yeah,
what we discuss next week. We haven't released that yet. Yeah, this is exactly in line with what they were already doing. So Sega sucks, and I hope this game sells terribly. I really do. It's not often you hope a game sells terribly, and you feel bad for any developers who maybe put some passion into this, but this just reeks of scum. It's just everywhere on this whole project, and you hope that it does poorly so that companies stop feeling the need to do stuff like this.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I feel bad for the developer who worked on the intro screen music that you can unlock if you buy the extra $5 digital plus fun edition. Sure, a lot went into that. No, not to knock any development that went into this, but yeah, this is one of those examples too where it's like, this isn't a new IP. This just needs to flop so that they can at least get some practical signals that they shouldn't be doing this. But we'll see if that happens. Let's move on. Let's change gears. Our next story is PlayStation 5 is going to be getting
sucks.
Sony sucks. This is actually a more positive story, but It's fun to say that though.
Uh,
PS5 will be getting VRR, or variable refresh rate, or an update that enables variable refresh rate later this week. So yeah, Sony announced in a blog post recently that VRR would be added and rolled out. It's going to require a TV or PC monitor that uses HDMI 2.1 or is compatible with VRR. But this is cool because VRR dynamically syncs the refresh rate to the display to the PS5 console's graphical output. So this enhances visual performance for PS5 games by minimizing or eliminating visual artifacts such as like frame pacing issues and screen tearing. So this improves the quality and the fidelity of video games. Some of the games that are going to be have patches optimizing for this in the coming weeks include Astro's Playroom, which is a fantastic free game that comes with PS5, Call of Duty Vanguard and Black Ops Cold War, Destiny 2, Marvel Spider-Man and Miles Morales, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, Rainbow Six Siege, Tribes of Midgard. So there's a good list of games that are going to be immediately benefiting from this. But it also says that games do not need to be patched or optimized to use VRR. Sounds like there's some level of automatic enabling happening here. So that's good
yeah,
news. Any
they say
thoughts?
your mileage will vary though. Sometimes it can cause some weird stuff to happen, and if it does, you can just turn it off. So
Yeah.
this is just this is yeah, it's only a good thing. I struggle to see how much VRR is going to help a game like Tribes of Midgard or actually the rest of them kind of make sense, but Astro's Playroom, I mean, was Astro's Playroom ever struggling to run at 60 frames? I don't know. And I also don't know the full tech behind VRR, and I only know that it's a good thing, and it's one of those boxes that Sony kind of needed to check because everyone on the Xbox side has been, for a while, been able to, you know, tout that Xbox has VRR capabilities, and there was some talk about how on Elden Ring, VRR made a big difference on console, really kind of smoothed out that below 60 frames per second. And so, yeah, this is great that Sony now is rolling this out. It won't affect me for some time. I don't know if my monitor is capable of taking advantage of this, but I know for a fact my TV is not. I assume yours is.
I believe it is.
I should hope so.
Yeah, me too. I spent way too much money on it, so I'm going to say yes, so that I don't feel bad about that purchase.
There you go.
So yeah, there we go. That's nice. Story number 7. Let's move on. Another PlayStation Sony story. PlayStation is now going to require demos from some developers. So if you remember, PlayStation rolled out their new pricing structure over the past month with PlayStation Plus and Premium, and I can't even remember exactly what they're called at this point, but it's their new pricing
Plus,
structure.
Extra, and Premium. It's Premium.
I think it's Plus, Extra, Premium. I think you're right. Premium, the highest tier. One of the amazing features for you paying the most money for this online monthly service is that you get demos to games, which is funny because on PC that's like a free thing. But hey, it's good that we sort of have that as an option now. But the price of your new PlayStation Plus Premium subscription will include time-limited game trials, and obviously to make sure that they have the content to support it, Sony is now requiring some developers to provide this. So I guess for the developer guidelines, a game demo that needs to last at least 2 hours will be required for any title that costs more than $34. It's not a retroactive rule, so this is only going to apply to games that start coming out after they like officially make this policy change. There's no real clear indication of what would happen if a developer failed to comply. Like, I don't know if they kidnap their family or something, but
they get sold to Xbox.
They get sold to Phil.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I guess that's good. Having more demo options is great. It's kind of a bummer that you have to be in the most expensive tier to benefit from demos. Like, I don't plan to pay for the most expensive tier, so this doesn't actually affect me as a consumer, but I guess for people who already are going to be in that tier, this is beneficial.
Is it good? Is it good?
Is it bad?
I don't know. Here's my question to you. How effective do you think demos are at their job?
You know, so here's the thing. I'm thinking this is good because I'm thinking of Steam. And you know why Steam's demos are good?
But yeah, why?
Steam's demos are good because you can return it, right? Like,
Yeah,
I
but
mean, I
here's the
guess
thing.
in this
Okay,
case,
so
you're not paying for it, but I don't
yeah, I
know.
don't know. This is such an antiquated. This feels like an antiquated concept to me. It really does. It feels like I think Xbox back in the day did this thing where I think every game on their storefront had a demo of some kind, and it was just free to anyone who owned Xbox, which is really cool. Like you said, over on Steam, it works really well, but that's not necessarily a demo, right? That's just a
That's the
window
game.
with which you have
Yeah.
to return the game. That is the game. A
Yeah.
demo to me, this sounds like Sony is requesting that anyone who is higher than this price point of $34.99 has to curate a 2-hour demo experience that is, to me, sounds like a separate download from the game, right? You are
It does sound
downloading
like
the
that.
2-hour demo version of the game. And I just don't, I have heard some people say that this moves the needle for them and like, oh, hey, maybe I will be in that premium tier now, where before I was going to be in the one below or the basic tier. For me, it doesn't. I said I feel like it's an antiquated concept, and I, I think partially that's because we live in a time where media is so we are so inundated with media. If I if I go onto YouTube and want to research about a game I'm interested in, I have I have gameplay, I have reviews, I have critiques, I have just anything I could possibly want. And
Yeah.
it's so seldom that I do a little bit of research, and you can know as much or as little as you want, right? It's so seldom that I find the information I need, I purchase a game, and then I regret the purchase. It happens very, very rarely because everything's just out there. And I don't feel the need to have, I mean, I guess you could argue hands-on sometimes feels different, and there is a case for that. But I don't know. I just don't think it's worth it. To me, this kind of feels like Sony unnecessarily breaking up their subscription into 3 tiers when it didn't need to be 3 tiers, and kind of looking at their premium tier and being like, oh crap, we kind of what we need to build
What
some
else can we put
value.
in
What can we
here?
do?
Yeah.
What can we put in here? And someone says demos, and they're like, yes, make everyone do demos.
Yeah.
And now you've got developers who have to take time, Insomniac, Naughty Dog, and some of the smaller ones as well, now have to take time, budget time out of their development to curate a 2-hour demo, um, which, who knows how long there's probably will take different amounts of time depending on the game and what have you.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it is going to slow down development to some extent. This will be at least a pretty tough learning curve for the first couple of years here, I would imagine. And to me, it just doesn't seem worth it to me. It feels like they're trying to build value to justify their third tier,
Mm-hmm.
when really this could have easily been 2 tiers of PlayStation Plus and Premium or whatever. So
Yeah.
I don't know. And then also, I don't know that, like, it depends on how effective you are at building a demo. Like, I can play, there's games I've played for 2 hours that weren't clicking with me that I continued to play because I was invested. I'd made a purchase. I had done the research. I made a purchase, continued to play it 5-6 hours in, it clicks, and it becomes one of my favorite games, or I love the game. I just think demos, more often than not, they don't do the job they're supposed to do as well as some other much easier means that we have. So
Yeah.
there's my 2 cents.
Kind of depends on how much work goes into creating these in the first place.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point. From my single point of view, consumer standpoint, this isn't going to make me opt into the higher tier. So curious to see how many other people maybe it does, but I agree. This isn't like a super critical feature to me, which is why I'm not against there being demos, I guess, in principle, but it's a weird, like, I don't like it being in the top tier because it doesn't feel that valuable. Like, that feels like this should
Well,
be in the baseline tier.
it kind of, yeah,
Of
it kind of frustrates me because Sony's policy on their games, their store, their purchases, it needs to change. And them putting demos in a premium subscription tier really just shows their how they view the way their store operates. We're not
Yeah.
going to see a change. I mean, we kind of knew this already, but we're never going to see a change to the PlayStation store that gets it closer to how Steam operates. And that's where we need to get to. Like, it's ridiculous. I purchased a game on sale the other day, and I downloaded it, and I'm not going to return it or anything, but I had that thought. I was like, if I wanted to return that game, I would have to literally fight with Sony, because their regulations or whatever state that if you download the game, you're no longer eligible for a refund. And that's absurd. If it hasn't even been played, but downloaded, it's just, so this really just kind of shows their thinking on this. And it all seems a little flawed, in my opinion. I just hope that it doesn't take too much time from developers. That's all. I just don't want to see this become a burden that, delays games or things like that. I'd much rather Sony just said, hey, just put a timer, start the game. You have 2 hours. I mean, I don't know.
It's not like Sony has a track record of making software and hardware decisions that are a pain point for developers. So
Sony sucks.
It's safe to say that. All right, let's move on to our 8th story. Is Ubisoft being prepared or preparing to be? I don't even know how to talk right now. Is Ubisoft preparing to be
acquired?
To be or not to be acquired for billions of dollars. So this is reported by Bloomberg. Ubisoft Entertainment, the video game publisher behind Assassin's Creed, is attracting preliminary knowledge or preliminary takeover interest from buyout funds, people with knowledge of the matter said. So there's several private equity firms that are interested, apparently, including Blackstone and KKR and Co., for those of you who know a lot about private equity firms. So it sounds like Ubisoft hasn't entered into any serious negotiations with potential acquirers yet, and it's unclear whether its major shareholder is willing to pursue a deal. Its major shareholder is, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Yves. I don't know how to pronounce this name. I'll put it on the screen.
I'd have to find it.
It's French. It's French. You could probably say it better than me, but
I was going to help you, but I don't even know where it is. So
yeah, no, I'll just blunder through it and then put it on the screen.
Yves. Yeah,
that's got to be it. So anyway, this largest investor has a 15% stake in the company, and it sounds like there may be interest because Ubisoft shares have fallen 41% in Paris trading over the past year. That's a lot. That's like almost half. And people know what 41% is, but like, that's just a lot. So
it's almost 50%.
I was saying it more out of like just being impressed with the number, but
no, yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot.
Sorry to mansplain what half is to everybody. But this puts Ubisoft at a market value of about 4.8 billion euros, which is a little over $5 billion. So yeah, Ubisoft is kind of taken a real hit in terms of what its shares are worth. So it makes sense that this is being floated around as an option. But that's about all the information we have. It's not serious. Doesn't sound like we know how strongly Ubisoft or its primary shareholder, whose name I can't say, are considering this. But it's interesting. What do you think?
Well, if I had to throw my hat into the ring, I would say his name is Yves. But I am also not sure that that's French. So
his last name is 100%. 100%
it's definitely French. But that doesn't mean your parents can name you something that's influenced from somewhere
I'm saying
else.
The name is French. Maybe he's not. I don't know.
Okay, there you go. Let's get a hold of Yves and
we'll get back to everyone.
Explore his family tree. So regarding this whole Ubisoft thing, if they are, I don't know. I part of me feels like if this news has been thrown out there, it's them like saying, "Hey, someone come by us,
please."
Yeah, and their market value being roughly $5 billion, that's pocket change compared to what we've seen being thrown around recently, right? So, yeah, honestly, I'm kind of at the point with the industry the way it is now. I kind of expect more or less over the next couple years, unless a company is like outright opposed to it, most of these large publishers are going to be gobbled up by Sony, Microsoft, or one of the other larger ones. They're getting fewer and fewer, but that's kind of how I feel, and I'm honestly fine with it. I don't know. Here's my thinking, and you can tell me if you think this is flawed, but I feel like so many of these publishers that are being purchased, you think of Bethesda, and then Activision, and now we're hearing about Ubisoft. There are companies that are kind of fundamentally broken at this point. They continue to churn out games that really aren't that innovative, really aren't breaking new ground. Um, they're not where the new exciting stuff is coming from in the industry, is what it
Yeah.
feels like. And so if Microsoft wants to buy them or whatever, and at 5 billion, why wouldn't Microsoft buy them? They've been trying to buy everything. You could buy the Assassin's
Yeah.
Creed franchise for 5 billion. That's probably worth it to Microsoft. So
Mm-hmm.
I won't be shocked if we see the sale go through sometime soon. And I'm fine with it, because it's like, let's get all this over with. This is where we're going. And maybe this will allow for new Ubisoft and new Bethesdas to kind of rise in their
Mm-hmm.
independent void.
New challengers. Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe we'll get some fresh faces that kind of get to expand and, you know, inevitably see the downfall of the next Ubisoft in 20 years, right? Like, but that's just kind of where I'm at. I think these companies, it's unfortunate that things like this have to happen for a company like Activision, and we still have yet to see, if we won't see for a long time, if Microsoft purchasing Activision is for better or worse for Activision and their IP and the consumers who love various IP from Activision. We don't know that yet, but it sure seems like it kind of feels like with these companies, it can't get much worse. I mean, I really enjoyed, I've enjoyed some of the Assassin's Creed games. Never really played many of the Far Cry games. It just feels like, I don't know, I guess I'm getting off in the weeds here. Ubisoft kind of is a two-sided company, where it's like they put out a bunch of stuff I don't really care about that feels very just like gray and just, I don't know, boring, cookie cutter. And then they have stuff like Immortals Phoenix Rising, where it's like, yeah, that was still kind of the same Ubisoft style, but that game was really cool. It did a
It was
lot of
done
cool
well,
things,
though.
and it had a lot of personality. So I'm not saying I don't care about Ubisoft at all, but I won't be surprised if this happens, and honestly, I won't be surprised if they're better for it. We've been hearing issues from Ubisoft for years now. At this point, they've been one of the front runners of hearing all these allegations and sexual misconduct and mistreatment of workers in the workplace. And I mean, it's just been one after the other with Ubisoft, and clearly it seems like they're not getting things turned around quite right. So maybe this will be another Microsoft swoop in purchase on the cheap.
Yeah, I mean, your point is an interesting one. I hadn't quite considered it in the way you said it. My thinking so far has been that this consolidation is inevitable and probably overall not good. Like in the case of Microsoft acquiring a bunch of things, Microsoft is run well right now. And so I feel like in the near term, that's probably a good thing that they're acquiring Activision and Blizzard. I think that's probably going to be for the benefit of Activision and Blizzard properties. I mean, who knows? But I think probably it's positive. In the longer term, a couple of large mega corporations owning everything we care about tends to lead to just a very like corporate blandness in media. You look at Disney and kind of, I don't know, it just things become sterile and corporate and just maximizing profit over the art. And so I have that kind of those concerns. But what you said about the new challengers, the new entrants into the market, I think is true. I think people are going to want things from different voices than these corporations. And I think that will come up either way. So maybe the acquisition of some of these companies like Blizzard, Activision, and Ubisoft is kind of a good thing, because there are things about these companies that we care about. Like you said, Assassin's Creed or Phoenix Rising, or in the case of Blizzard Activision, like World of Warcraft or some of their other titles. I don't want those things to just be gone or to be horrible. I want some of these things to still do well and be fun and be there when I want to play them. So maybe this is kind of a best of both worlds scenario where we'll get some quality uplift by I mean, not all acquisitions will go well, but maybe this can salvage some of the titles and IPs from companies that are struggling like Ubisoft, while we can wait on these newer entrants to inevitably pop up and challenge the status quo.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's kind of my thought, is that these companies like Ubisoft, they've already reached this tipping point of, they've grown so big, and they really all their stuff is homogenized at this point. It's all the same. it's such a meme, right? Ubisoft games are all exactly the same. So we're already at that point. Them being purchased, we don't have to have fear that, oh no, Assassin's Creed and Far Cry, they're all going to feel the same. Like, we're already living that life. So I think at the end of the day, maybe it offers some sort of hope, because companies like Microsoft and Sony, they are big, but they've shown that they kind of know how to handle being big and allow smaller experiences and studios to do their thing under their control. Whereas these bigger publishers like Ubisoft and Activision have kind of shown they grow beyond their means, and then they don't know how to do it anymore. So I don't know. We'll see. It could all blow up fantastically. That's also a possibility.
Yeah. Well, speaking of giant mega corporations that control beloved IP that the world is beholden to, our next story is about Disney. Disney has announced a new game called Disney Dreamlight Valley. And, I guess the question I've always had is, everyone has those friends or family who are Disney adults. Hey, maybe you're a Disney adult, and maybe that's okay. Disney adults are the people they're at the theme parks multiple times every year, and they're excited about everything Disney does. Well, if that's you or someone you love, this game might be for you. So this is a new Disney-inspired life sim. Really good description here in the Verge article that it's as if Disney got their hands on the Animal Crossing source code. So if you can imagine Animal Crossing mixed with like Sims mixed with just Disney IP, this is what this game seems to be, which is honestly, I think, actually a pretty good idea from a business standpoint. And I think there's brilliant. It's really brilliant. I don't know why it hasn't been thought of yet. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who are legitimately going to really enjoy this. And so I'm happy, because I know there's a lot of people who will probably love this.
The reason I threw this in here is because my wife, she doesn't really play video games. She'll play some phone games here and there. And she did play Animal Crossing, right? Animal Crossing is the great equalizer. Everyone
loves Animal Crossing,
and their celebrity brother played Animal Crossing, right? Yep. And so this really does look like Animal Crossing set in Disney World. And when this comes out, and when my wife hears about this, she may never do anything else again, honestly.
I can see how this would become quite addictive. Another thing this Verge article compared it to is what is it? It's like a Disney adult's ultimate isekai fantasy. I don't know if I'm pronouncing isekai right, but that's like a kind of like a Japanese portal fantasy type story, which I totally could see how that could be the case. I think the only Disney sim that I want to lose myself in is Kingdom Hearts. So I don't know. I don't know if this is for me. But,
I don't even know about that anymore.
We'll see. Honestly, yeah, I think I might be a little past it. But this is cool. I don't know if I might give it a try, because I'm actually really curious to see what the game looks like. I don't imagine this will be a game I spend a whole lot of time with.
Future you will know, because we'll put some video over the top of it. And I believe it's free to play too, so you won't even have to pay to find out how the microtransactions are.
Hey, maybe I'll accidentally spend a bunch of money on microtransactions. So yeah, check it out. Check it out if you're interested in Disney. This is kind of neat. All right, our 10th story. This is a quick one, but Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. They just released a new game, and I'm not talking about the core game that came out like 4 weeks ago, or however long ago it was. It wasn't that long ago. They actually have just released a DLC. And I don't know about you, but this seems really fast to be releasing a DLC, like a month after launch, which kind of ties into the problem here. So the first DLC for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, called Coiled Captors.
It's been just a month. Yeah.
Just a month. Yeah. So Coiled Captors is the first DLC, and it is not getting good reviews. On Tiny Tina's Wonderlands subreddit, one user described the DLC as a chaos chamber, but with extra steps, and suggested that you can barely call this a premium DLC. It should have been free. Another user on Reddit said the DLC is not worth $10, claiming that it literally took longer to find the zone than it did to complete it. So that's not good. It sounds like it's like legitimately like 10 minutes of content, which is and it's $10.
It has a 1.2 user score on Metacritic. Oh man, it's getting just destroyed. So yeah,
It's
this is totally
bad.
yeah, this is a bummer. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands came out to I've heard mixed reception, but generally positive. Like a lot of people
Skewing
thought that this
positive,
was a
I think.
nice, yeah, a lot of people thought this was a kind of a refreshing change of pace for the usually drab and dusty Borderlands feel. And yeah, like you said, there's a combination of things here. If you're going to release DLC that's paid DLC in this day and age, I mean, there's so many games that release DLC for free. You look at some of the outliers, right? Like No Man's Sky, who has released DLC after DLC over years without charging anything. You look at Ghost of Tsushima, released an entire multiplayer game mode that was fantastic for free. And then, you know, some people do have paid DLC. That's fine. But with there being such high quality free DLC these days, you really kind of have to hit the mark if you're trying to ask people for money with a DLC. And it sounds like they clearly didn't hear. I've heard some people describe this as, I don't know if it was here, but some people said it's like 10 minutes of content, literally. Like it's nothing really new or special. And then also that combined with the fact that this is a month after release. Like if you don't give, man, I would say 3 months. I think you need to wait 3 months minimum to release a DLC for a game that you're asking money for, because whether or not it's true, let's say you're the most efficient company ever and you started work on the DLC the day the game shipped, people still are going to look. If you release that 2 months later, they're going to say, hey, you just cut this from the game. There's no way that you know, and it just is it's bad optics. It looks bad. And this sucks because Borderlands typically is known for having decent DLC, if not a little bit too much and too parsed out and a la carte.
I'm just really curious why they thought they needed to release this. Like it sounds like they had this little bit of DLC, just keep working on it and release more of it later. You know, like
it's because
a
these
really
companies
weird decision.
Yeah, these companies do this thing where they release their game and then they have you buy the gold version or whatever that has the season pass. And so then they get behind and they're like, we just got to start getting these DLCs out. And then you get stuff like this. And it's just more corporate nonsense in the video game industry. So Gearbox sucks.
Gearbox sucks.
Every single story here. No, this is a bummer. I hope that people are worried that this is going to set the stage for the following 3 DLCs. And I wouldn't be surprised. But hopefully this is an outlier. They hear the response of a 1.5 user score and they start to work a little bit longer and maybe delay things. And I have yet to pick up this game despite being mildly excited about it. And so I'm kind of hoping that by the time all 4 DLCs are out, the game comes down in price. I hope the bundle is worthwhile and the DLC as a total adds to the game, but this is not a great first step here.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I have to imagine that a 1.5 user rating will be calibration input for the team. I would hope, but yeah. And the good thing is the game itself sounds fairly solid. I'm still excited about it. I still plan to pick it up. Like you, I'm waiting for a sale. I'm sure in aggregate, the DLCs won't be horrible. It seems like it's horrible just value for dollar. And then the timing is also bad. So let's hope they make some adjustments. All right. Our 11th story, probably the biggest delay in gaming history. This is going to bum a lot of people out.
It's not even a game.
We hate to break this news to you all, but the Super Mario Brothers movie has been delayed. I know. We'll let you take a minute to collect yourselves. So for anybody who doesn't know, this movie is being made by the studio behind Minions and Despicable Me, which is kind of interesting. And then famously, Chris Pratt is going to be playing as Mario, which I think the industry at large has been laughing about for like a solid year at this point. Some of the other cast I'm actually interested in. Jack Black as Bowser actually seems
pretty
like a
stacked,
great choice. Charlie Day as Luigi's great. Keegan Michael Key as Toad. Like Seth Rogen as Donkey. Honestly,
like what does that mean?
The entire cast I'm pretty down with. Chris Pratt as Mario is the only one that feels weird, but it doesn't necessarily seem horrible.
The cast seems like a blast. It's just like, if you read off this cast, you'd be like, yeah, what's this movie? Mario. And you're like,
Mario. I know.
What?
So
Is a Mario movie?
maybe it'll be really good. Like, I'm actually a little excited for it just because of
I
the
know when
cast.
you kind of were condescending about the delay, I'm like, no, I'm actually kind of bummed because I think the whole world is waiting to figure out what the heck this is going to be and what Chris Pratt sounds like as Mario. Like,
I'm excited to see. Like, I'm not too worried about it being delayed, honestly, but I am looking forward to it to some extent. Um, so yeah, this movie's been delayed. It originally was going to be announced or released sometime this year. I don't think they said when in 2022. They just said 2022, so probably later in the year. But they've decided to move it to next spring. So it's not a huge move. It's about a year from now. Um,
right.
and yeah, I think
The biggest news here, though, that you forgot is that Miyamoto said he promises it will be worth the wait. So you can take that to the bank whenever
yeah,
Miyamoto says that. So
yeah, you beat me to it, and that's so yeah, I'm sure it'll be great. Honestly, I do think it will be fun. Um, if it's if it's as good as the Sonic the Hedgehog movie that came out, then that's good. It'll be a good time.
well, and I think we're entering a new thing here as we have in the doc the Minecraft movie that was announced and is supposedly going to be starring Jason Momoa. And it's just like, what does that look like either? I don't know. It's just we're truly
Who
entering
is
an
he gonna
era.
play?
I don't know. Assumedly
Duncan
some sort of
Idaho.
Minecraft character. Yeah,
Duncan
Duncan
Idaho in
Idaho, the
Minecraft.
Lego Man. Wait, not Lego,
Yeah.
not affiliated. But anyways,
Um,
we're truly entering an era where like video games are fully becoming a focal point of the film
yeah.
industry. And it's becoming really weird to see Chris Pratt as Mario and Jason Momoa in a Minecraft movie. And
Jason
like,
Momoa
I
as
mean,
Minecraft.
yeah, like I don't know. Next, we're gonna get like Christian Bale starring in Astrobot, or like
I
it's
can't
just
wait.
weird. And I honestly can't
Can't
wait
wait.
to see some of these movies. I want to see how bad they are or how fantastic they somehow manage to be. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I can't wait. Jason Bateman is Sly Cooper. Um, Zach Efron is Jack, and
I
someone
know I was
else.
trying to
Charlie
think
Day
of
is
the most
Daxter. I don't know.
ridiculous things I could think of, and I'm like, well, two of them are already actually happening because Chris Pratt is Mario and The Rock is starring in It Takes Two. So
Yeah, I
like,
and well now Jason
it's hard
Momoa
to
in
come up with
Minecraft.
more
Like,
funny things than that. Like,
yeah, you're trying to be satirical, and the world is already stranger than anything we're
yeah,
coming up with.
exactly. Stranger Than
Um,
Fiction.
yeah. Also, the Minecraft movie is being directed by Napoleon Dynamite filmmaker Jared Hess, which
Oh yeah,
that's just
that should
another
be
crazy thing.
interesting.
Like, yeah, I'm really curious to see what that even means. I don't know. We're gonna find out.
Fascinating.
So yeah, next spring is the Mario movie and the Jason Momoa Minecraft movie. I don't think we have a date on yet, but it's an exciting time to be a gamer. Uh, cool.
Nice.
Well,
Do you want me to do
that
free stuff?
yeah, it takes us into free stuff. And if you want to tell us what can we get for free this week, Levi?
Absolutely, my friends. Yeah, it's the end of the month, so we thought, hey, let's throw in some shout outs to different free things that you can get. PS Plus monthly games were announced for May. You're looking at FIFA 22, Tribes of Midgard, which I've actually kind of had my eyes on for a while and just never took the plunge. So that'll
Yeah,
probably be the one I
mildly
get
excited.
money out of on this one. And then Curse of the Dead Gods is actually a fantastic
I'm excited
roguelite
about that
game.
one. Yeah, because
Yeah, that's
I
one
haven't
that
played it
I've
yet.
talked. Yeah, I've talked to you about it.
Mm-hmm.
I put a lot. I don't even like roguelite games, and I put a lot of time into this game. It's great gameplay, and the from run to run being random, it actually works really well in this game. So look
Mm-hmm.
for those on your PS Plus lineup. Over on Epic Games on their store, you have two new games that just rolled over, and these are like I don't know how I can't speak to how good they are, but they feel like a train wreck that I can't look away from. One of them is called Just Die Already and describes itself. It says is an old people mayhem sandbox game created by the designers of Goat Simulator. And if you're not sold yet, you are old and angry and you've just been kicked out of your retirement home. How will you survive in a world that wants you to just die already?
It's incredible
I
marketing
mean,
copy.
sold,
That's
sold. And the
yeah.
next one, and we'll throw up some video for these, but this one we definitely need to put video up. Paradigm is a surreal adventure game set in the strange and post-apocalyptic Eastern European country of Cruz, I don't know. Play as the handsome mutant Paradigm, whose past comes back to haunt him in the form of a genetically engineered sloth that vomits candy. So which of those, this feels like a two truths and a lie. Like if we had a third game, how would you guess which one is real and which one's fake? But we'll put video up of this one, and this one looks bizarre, but also I'm intrigued and I might have to check this game out. But over on Xbox, you've got a Game Pass refresh and just a couple shout outs that I thought were notable. Bugsnax is no longer imprisoned by the PlayStation box and has now been set free on Game Pass.
Now everyone gets to enjoy it.
The horror game known as Bugsnax. And then Lost in Random is actually the game I just purchased on sale. This game got like no marketing from EA, and from everything I looked up, this game just people love it. So look for that on Game Pass. And then coming soon on the 5th of May, day and date, we'll be getting Trek to Yomi, which is one I've been looking forward to. It's that 2D Ghost of Tsushima black and white type game that looks like it could be pretty good. So, and then lastly, over on Twitch Prime, we've got 6 free games, which I may struggle to read here. We've got Mail Mole, The Curse of Monkey Island, Dead Space, Out of Line, and Cat Quest. So none of those really call out to me. I know The Curse of Monkey Island is a favorite of many due to nostalgia. So those are there also, for you if you have Prime.
It's Dead Space 2, the second one.
Oh, Dead Space 2. I couldn't see the little 2 there.
I barely
could. Yeah. That's your free games. What do you have here? Some stuff on Steam about Elder Scrolls?
Couple of free things on Steam as well. So Elder Scrolls, like I think Bethesda's like powering down their storefront disaster they were trying to get going, porting stuff over to Steam. And Bethesda just this week added 5 classic titles to Steam, mainly from the Elder Scrolls franchise, including 2 lesser known and more obscure spin-offs. I'll show a screenshot with what these are, but some of these are free, so you can grab Elder Scrolls Arena and its sequel Daggerfall for free. If you've ever wanted to play like the oldest of old school Elder Scrolls, some of them are free right now, and the others are like a couple of bucks. So thought that was worth calling out.
There you go. Go get all the free stuff. It's crazy how many games are available to us these days for almost nothing. Right? So sweet. Well, that'll conclude it all 12 of our stories here today. If you stuck with us till the end, thank you very much. Appreciate having you. Remember, you can find us over on Patreon, patreon.com/Neverlag. And we will catch you next time on Neverlag.